What's up, everybody? Hope you guys are doing well. I'd like to welcome to our show today Jarrod Davis. Jarrod has been working in the real estate industry now for 28 years as an investor, and for the past 20 years has been a real estate broker. Amazingly, I just didn't even know this, and Jarrod's actually my own business coach in real estate. I've been working with Jarrod for about a year and a half, and I was like, man, I need to have Jarrod on. But Jarrod did $1 billion, yes, $1 billion in sales in 2015. And one thing I love about Jarrod is like he's just really passionate about helping team leads grow their business, whether you're in real estate or whatever it might be. He's with Tom Ferry International as a coach, probably spends 9% of his time doing that. And I was like, man, I got to get him. He's coming to us from Canada today. Jarrod, thanks for joining us, man.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. Obviously, we know each other, really well. I'm kind of intimate with your business and all that. So I'm excited to be here, man.
Good. Well, I'm glad you came and thanks for taking the time. So tell us real quick, man. I want to get into a couple topics with you. One will be team building, growing teams. How do you lead as a team leader? I want to talk about your book, which is actually very helpful. Has been helpful in my life to learn how to work with people in general, whether it's your team or whoever it might be. And then maybe you can even tell us a little bit about your training of animals, which is just a great little side thing or whatever. So tell us how you got to where you're at right now.
Well, I'll start there. Originally, I know I might get a little blurry. I'm in the country and I think my internet's coming in and out, but anyway, it's all good. You can hear me. I think the reality, yes. In the very beginning, when I was super young, I started a career training animals. And so I actually worked in Las Vegas. I trained Siegfried and Roy's tigers in, for their show in Las Vegas. And, at the end of the day, I didn't make a ton of money doing that. And I was lucky enough at that time to get involved with some really high, hardcore business investors, real estate investors who saw me at 19. And they basically just said, hey, are you handy? And I said, sure. And they said, how about this? We'll buy some houses. You'll go in, you'll fix them up, we'll sell them, and then we'll split the proceeds. And I'm like, sounds good at 19. And so I started that at 19, and really, really quickly, we gained a lot of houses. We sold a lot of houses. And I recognized that meant, listen, I could stay as an animal trainer, which is my passion and I love, and I still do. Yet it wasn't as financially lucrative as real estate was. And so I got into real estate, got my license, realized, oh man, if I get my own license, and I can take then the commission and reinvest back into the houses. And so that's kind of how I started in real estate. And then in 2020, I started our nonprofit Tales of the Wild. It's our nonprofit animal rescue. So I was able to, kind of twist around my business, what I did for a business and what I did for money into my passion, which it always was, all the way into real estate. And so I started really as an investor. And then as I got my real estate license and got into real estate, there are plenty of real estate agents that would say, hey, tell me, how do you do it? Because I wasn't your typical real estate agent in the beginning. And then I started working with buyers and, eventually I grew a team and grew a brokerage. And then we started, and then I went back and went, hey, this is the way that real estate works the best. Started the team, we did $1 billion in sales in 2015. And now I primarily just step back and I'm like, I'm just going to coach.
And you do such a good job at it. And you're like when you made the transition from going from animal training, which there's not many people that make that transition. I mean, maybe there are to make transition to real estate. I would not think that's a huge segment of people, and it's awesome, really cool. Like, I don't know. You know what? I know one gal that's a friend of a friend that trains seals at the Houston Zoo. That's about it. That's all I got.
There you go.
But you're like tigers. That's like a whole different ballgame, bro. But when you transition into that, which real estate being, I'm assuming when you did training, you were in you had a salary, you had a paycheck. I'm assuming, or was it commission based too?
No. When I was training animals, it was a salary, and let's be honest. It wasn't a large salary because let's be real, Siegfried and Roy could hire anyone to come train their tigers. Right. That's their thing, right? So
Right. So when you made the transition into a 100% commission-based job, How did you do that?
Well,
And like mindset, time, savings, everything.
Well, I went from having an employee mindset of, hey, I'm working for money of then how do I transition from that into a place where I'm responsible for making money? What I recognize, as long as I work for somebody else, nothing wrong with that. It's just as long as I work for someone else, they're always going to control my time, control my money, control how much I make, control all of that. And so for me, I'm not going to say it was an easy transition, but I had invested in real estate. And so it was a natural transition for me. The reality of it is I had to recognize that if I wanted to do better in life, if I wanted to do better financially, if I wanted to do that, then I had to take responsibility. And so that mindset shifted from a perspective of I'm just going to go to work every day for somebody else to, man, if I equally work as hard for me, then that income will be a lot more, right? So the reality is if I continue to do that, then I'm going to make more money. And so at the end of the day, I just simply have the mindset of, man, I'm going to work my butt off, but working my butt off this time for me is going to benefit me and make more money for me and allow me more control of my time. And so it was, again, it's all mindset. Here's the problem. A lot of people doubt themselves. And so I had a personality style that, man, I just went after it and I did it. Most people doubt themselves. And if you doubt yourself, then it's going to be that hesitancy to step forward into, well, your own personal greatness. I know it sounds fruity, but it's very, very true. Like if you're hesitant of doing that, then you're always going to hold back. And for me, I didn't hold back. So if someone is out there and they're working a full-time job and they want to get into real estate, you have to understand, like, you got to get super clear that as long as you put the work in, then you will do well. But you got to put the work in. This isn't I think one of the biggest mistakes agents make when they start in this business is they think it's going to be easy. They see, agents driving around in nice cars and making money, and they don't understand that that agent originally had to put a lot of work into it. Right? So
yeah, I mean, I literally just had this conversation today, and I was basically telling an agent that, like, hey, like, I'm at a spot in my business where I do get calls where people are calling me going, hey, could you come list my house? In the real estate industry, call them, come list me, whatever. But my first 2-3 years, no, like that never happened. Yeah. And agents will always go, man, how do you get that? How do you, I was like, do you know what I did in year 1, 2, 3, 4 to be able to be in a spot when I'm in year 6 and 7 to be able to get those type of calls? Like, I mean, I wish I could help people understand that are new in the industry going, like, I did 2, 3, 4 open houses every weekend. I spent 3-5 hours a day prospecting in years 1, 2, and 3, so that when I'm now in year 6 and 7, I don't have to do that intense of prospecting. I still have to do some, but I don't have to do that intense. And I think a lot of people is like, they see that, it's just like anything, TV shows or social media or whatever, and they see the lifestyle of here's what a realtor is, but all the different steps that it took to get for them to be at that point. I mean, you can't film that. That would not be a good show to watch, right? No, let's just watch someone sitting on the phone for 3 hours. Like,
gotta work your butt off. That's the reality of it. And like, here's the truth. And this is what drives me insane is if most people who take a job, they show up to their job every single day, they work from 8 till 4. Now, whether they work hard or not, that's up to them. But the reality is they at least show up. And so in real estate, you got to do the same, man. Like, if you treat it like a job and you really work it, then you'll get to a stage. Like, how long have you been doing real estate, Ryan?
I'm starting my 7th year.
So then after 7 years, then you will get some business that comes to you. But in the very beginning, you got to work it. Like, you got to go out and chase that business. And if you don't, you're not going to win. Matter of fact, I laugh because I do a lot of fun stuff. And I was just up skiing in Vermont and someone messaged me, oh, Jarrod, you're always doing cool things. And I'm like, yeah, because that's what I work to do. But I said, here's the thing. Before I got to do the cool things, I was willing to do all the hard things. Right. And that's what most people don't want. They want to go from where they are to do all the great things, but not willing to do the work in the middle.
Yeah, totally. All right. So you became successful as a coach. I mean, sorry, not as a coach. You're a coach. You are successful as a coach, but as a real estate agent, when did you go, all right, now I'm going to scale this up, add team members? How did you do it? What were some of the things the mistakes you made, and what were some of the things that you learned? Oh, that worked. Let me do that again as you grew your team.
Well, again, I was lucky to make a lot of mistakes when I was super young. So then I was able to catch up. So like I started real estate, probably around 19, 20 years old. I had my own business, very, very young. And I'm just going to talk about this. I wrote this book called Adapt: Building Strong, Meaningful Relationships through Self-Discovery. Because
I have it right here.
Yeah, there you go.
I got my copy.
Yeah, good. You can go to adapt.com, get your own copy, or go to Amazon or Audible. It's everywhere. So go get it. But here's the reality. I wrote that book because what I learned early on in life is that if you are going to do something big, you can't do it alone. Right. And so and here's the truth. As a salesperson, as a leader, man, I wasn't the greatest, most personable person. Right. Like, I mean, I remember one time in the company that I worked at, my niece, she longed to come work for me. And that was her, her dream was to come work for me in my business. And I said, man, you get good grades when you graduate from, school, you can come work for me. She came to work for me, and it wasn't too long. And I saw her sitting out at the picnic table, and, her dad was there. And I said, hey, Bill, go tell Crystal to get to work. And he looked at me and he said, man, she works for you now. You go tell her. And, and so I went out to the big table and I did what bosses do, right? I went out and I said, Crystal, get back to work, blah, blah, blah. And she looked up at me with tears in her eyes and she said, I wanted to come work for you for a long time. And you're nothing more than a giant, let's say butthole, but that's not the word she used. Like, you can use your imagination, right?
Right.
You're a giant butthole. And I went, what?
Sure.
And now listen, here's the truth, Ryan. Do you think that was the first time I heard that in my life?
I mean, I would not think so, because it's part of your personality, right?
Right. So Ryan's like, what do I say here? I don't know what the right answer is. No, but no, it's but no, that's not the first time I heard that, right? But it was one of the most meaningful times that I heard that. And what I knew is that if I wanted to grow in anywhere, that I had to be around people. And so I wrote that book because the only person that really had to change in that situation was me. I had to get better as a leader. And so when you say, when did I do that, is early in my career, I recognized that if I'm going to do anything great, I got to learn how to do it better with other people. And so I started mastering personality profiles, mastering other people, how they think. Because let's be honest, we all do this. We all think everybody thinks like us. And here's the truth. You and me, you and me, we make a very small portion of the population the way we think. High driving personalities, business entrepreneurs. We're just a small group. And so we don't understand sometimes how other people think, but in order to get them to move, we got to leverage through others. So I was lucky enough that even when I got into my real estate career, I knew that if I wanted more, right? If I wanted more money, if I wanted more time, if I wanted, to invest in other people's lives, like one of the reasons I'm a coach now is I love seeing other people succeed. I love investing in other people so that they can succeed. Like, it's something that I love to do, and it's genuine. And so growing my team was a natural progression of finding just the right people. Like, I found the right assistant that came in and helped me. I found the right agents that came in to help me. And it was all about that. And so I grew into a team in real estate before teams were even cool, right? Like, I had a team before teams were even a thing. And it was only because I knew that I could do more. And then, when I was coaching with my coach at the time that we did $1 billion, he said to me, you're never going to do $1 billion with what you have, but you can do $1 billion if you get more help. And so we just went out and we hired people and we aligned with people that had the same goal. And so it was a natural progression for me to a point that other people will take you wherever you want to go, whether it's $1 billion in sales, whether it's $1 million in GCI, whether it's whatever it is. If you get in with other people that are aligned with you, you can go anywhere you want.
Yeah, I love that. What would you say, for people who are out there, because you just said it, like, I found these type of people, whatever. What was your tactic? What was your strategy to go find the people you wanted for your team?
Yeah. I'm not naturally an outgoing personality. And so, I'm fairly, again, I like to be by myself. I'm kind of people will see me as, oh, he's an outgoing, but I'm not. I really like it. So the biggest challenge with finding other people was you have to go out and be around a lot of people, right? You have to go out and be around a lot of people. So when you say, and, let's talk about our real estate industry. Our real estate industry, I think they say new agents, like 87% of them fail within the first 2 years or something. Yeah. Is that the stat? And so,
yes, sounds pretty accurate. Yeah.
Yeah. And so when you say, hey, man, I want to go out and hire people to be, if you want to interview one or two people, then there's a pretty good chance that you're going to find the people that are going to fail in this industry. And so it's really about putting yourself out there and getting to know a lot of people. Like, you want to hire agents, right? Get out in front of a lot of agents so you can pick and choose the ones that align with you, right? And there's that side, and then there's the other side, and show off the agents that are succeeding in your team, because everybody wants to succeed. Everybody wants to grow. Everybody wants to win. And so if you show off how you're winning in your business and you align yourself with other great agents, man, they're going to want to align themselves with you. It's like a come list me call in real estate.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's kind of like how, if real estate teams are working online leads, it's just a numbers game. Like, average online lead is a conversion of 2 to 3%, whatever that is.
Yeah.
You have to get the quantity to be able to get the quality. And so you're saying that's kind of similar with recruiting. Is like, you got to see enough come in and enough conversations to, at some point, you go, all right, this one's special.
Man, you got to get into enough relationships with people that could align with you to find the ones that are really good. Right? To find the ones that are really good, because there's lots of really good people out there. But if you don't get out in front of as many people as you can, you're definitely not going to, be able to bring on people in. And then when you bring them on, invest time into them, right? Get with them, help them, support them, because that's the other thing about team building. If you don't take time to help people grow, they're not you. And that's the biggest mistake people make, right? They think, well, they're just like me. No, they're not at all like you. Right. And so the reason they're joining your team is because they want your support. They want your help. They want your guidance. They want you to push them. They want you to be their biggest cheerleader. And if you aren't that for them, then you're setting them up to fail. I took it on as a responsibility that, man, if I'm bringing someone on my team, it's my responsibility to help them succeed. And if they're not doing it, then either I hired the wrong person, I'm in business with the wrong person, or I'm not giving to them like I should give to them. That's leadership.
Right. So you touched on it a little bit there. You brought people on, and then when you brought them on, I'm assuming you gave them some type of expectation and whatever that might be of like, hey, here's what we need to do. What have you used and what have you seen the best practices for creating accountability, tracking, setting goals, making it measurable, helping your team members achieve their goals, whether real estate or not real estate? But what are some of the best practices that you've seen to really hold people accountable, but also kind of create that process from a numbers perspective? You're really big into tracking. I mean, when we get on a coaching call, it's like, all right, first thing, Ryan, what's your numbers? What'd you do? Boom, 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 boom. And it's been great reality for me of just how much I need to track that I never did before. But tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, in order to know where you're going, you got to know where you are, right? That's the reality. In order to know where you're going, you got to know where you are. And so that's with you as a high producing team lead, but it's also with an individual agent. And so I think I've told you is there's nothing better than bringing an agent in and an agent going, well, I got 0 closings, 0 pen. And it's not that you want to make him feel bad. It's, man, you got to know where you are. Because if you come in and you're feeling good because you made your calls, but yet you've got 0 in your pipeline, I don't want that, because I want you to know exactly where you are. And so communication has to be, if you think you can bring someone into your team and not communicate with them on a regular basis and set them up to win, then again, you're poking and hoping on success. You've got to get engaged with them. I'd say there's nothing complicated by helping people win. Now, can you use all kinds of tools around it? Sure. But it's about making sure that you set standards and expectations and that you hold to them. Right? Because I see it all the time in the industry. I mean, you're a coach, you're a successful coach as well. You see it on the teams that we work, that we set standards and then we don't hold it to them. So that, our teams lack integrity. Our agents lack integrity. And it's because you as the leader, you haven't held them to the standard that you set. And here's the deal. You set standards, you set expectations as the leader, but you don't set their goals. You let them set their goals. They got to have belief in what they do.
Right.
Right. And so it's okay for you to set the standard. It's okay for you to set the expectation, but then they better align with that. And when if your expectation is for someone to do 24 transactions a year and they come in and they go, my goal is to do 12. You're just out of alignment with that person. They're not a bad person. They're just out of alignment. And so either you've got to lower your standards or they've got to raise their goal. Now, I would never encourage you to lower your standards. I would encourage you to either push them to raise their goal, which is if they don't believe they can do it, they're probably not going to do it, or just go find other people that are willing to do it. But you gotta hold to the standards and expectations, and you gotta have clarity around them. Like everybody has to know, these are the rules of the game. If you want to play in our game, these are the rules of the game. This is how you show up. Right? Now, if someone's falling behind, then you can't leave them behind. You got to step up and help them. Because you have a choice, right? You have a choice to step up and help them, or you've got to set them free, right? If they're not going to align with your standards and expectations, then holding them there and not allowing them to succeed is not helping them or you. So you got to be willing to set them free. And so the truth is, when you look at that, it's the best thing that you can do for any agent on your team is meet with them weekly. Now, I coach some teams that are 100 plus agents. How do you do that, right? Well, there's different structures around us doing that, but you at least got to make sure that you're visible with them, that you're in communication with them, on a regular basis, right? And so accountability isn't always about pounding them with a hammer, because that's what sometimes when we hear accountability, we think, oh, we've got to try. Sometimes people just need encouragement,
right?
Right. And so when you say, is there a magic trick to accountability? I'm going to say this: the hardest thing that you and I can do is encourage people. Not that we don't want to. We would love to encourage people, but in our brains we go, man, I'm willing to work hard. Why isn't everyone willing to work hard? Go work hard. But that's not encouragement to some people, right? And so we've got to be better encouragers, and that's tough for some of us as leaders, right? It's tough for us to be encouragers, but that becomes our job because they need it from us. And so meet with them weekly, become a better encourager, set standards and expectations, then hold to those standards and expectations.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting too, because I think sometimes, I don't know why it's this way, but I was having a conversation with one of the agents on our team this morning, and we're kind of doing some things I kind of shared with you before about doing this agent scorecard every week. And I was like, let me ask you a question. Do you feel, and first, before I ask this question, I feel like as a team lead, as a leader, that the accountability measures I have in place right now are almost a little, I feel like it's a little too pressing. I don't want to hurt. I don't want to add more, administrative work to your schedule every day, week, whatever it might be. That's how I feel. I think I'm already pushing it. And the agent I was talking to has actually never been on a team, mainly been an individual agent. And I asked him the question. I go, hey, do you think that the level of accountability that I bring to our team, would you say it's too soft or too hard? And I was totally expecting him to say too hard. He goes, it's probably too soft. And I was like, wow, I was not expecting that. And I think a lot of times as leaders, we are scared to bring that accountability in because we're like, hey, if I bring too much accountability, they're not going to like it and they're going to leave and whatever. But to me, it feels like a lot of agents are wanting the accountability. They just need somebody to step up and say, this is what you got to do. Did you do it? Did you not do it? What are we going to do now? Kind of thing. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, there's two sides of it. They not only do they want it, but they probably need it, just like you and I need it. I mean, right. we do need someone that, again, pushes us along the path that we want to go. Because if we don't, then we tend to take the easier road. We all do. That's just human nature. It's easier for us to take the easy road. So why wouldn't we, right? And so we need someone to help push us along the tough path. And so here's your responsibility as a leader, right? To make sure everyone's hitting their goals. And so if everyone's not hitting your goals, you got to look at your accountability and go, what piece am I missing? Right? And you go, what piece am I missing? And it could be It could be, hey, I'm pushing them too hard. It could be, I'm not pushing them enough. Most of the time it's that you're not pushing them enough, because nobody doesn't want to hit their goals. No one wants to fail.
Right.
Right. And so when we look at accountability and we look at the work, now I'm going to ask you this. Do they all have enough business in their pipeline that they're busy enough not to be able to accomplish what you're setting them to do?
Right.
And if the answer is no, like, listen, I'm okay. Like, let's be honest. You and I are in a business that we know that if someone is doing, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 transactions a month on our team, right? If they're falling off some of their activities, is it because they don't want to, or there's fear around it? No, it's probably because they're legit busy, but it's not a worry for us. They're doing 5, 6, 7 transactions. Most of the people who aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing, their biggest problem isn't time. Their biggest problem is commitment and time management. Right. And so it's our job to hold them to that. Now it's our job to encourage them into that. Right.
Right. Yeah. Well, what would you say to the agent, real estate agent, the business owner who's thinking about growing, scaling up, and they feel like they need to like bring more people on to kind of like offset their time in a sense, because they don't have time to work what's coming in. What's advice you give someone who's starting out in that process and looking to start team building? What would be the advice you would give to them going forward?
Well, first of all, I think they need clarity of why they want to grow. Like, why do they want to grow, and what's the reason that they want to grow? Get really clear on that. And then you need to make sure that you have the structure to grow into, right? And so the structure to grow into, the right people in the right seats already, and then get really clear on, man, if you're bringing in more staff, what's going to be their job role? What's the expectation of the outcome for them? Don't just bring on people to say, hey, I need another person. Bring on people with the expectation of an outcome, right? And so that outcome may be, listen, I've got one person that's handling transactions and listings, and we're so busy taking so many listings right now that we need someone to do transactions. Great. So the outcome is, I'm going to pull this person off of transactions, give it to this person. That way we can go take more listings, and we've got that in place. Or I'm going to hire more agents. Okay, that's great. I have no problem. Like, a lot of people go, well, I don't have enough leads to hire enough agents. You don't need leads to hire agents. You need a training system, a structure around how you're going to help them grow. Yeah, sure, it'd be great to have leads, but it's not necessary, right? And you just need to have that. I'm going to ask you, do you have a training system, a support structure, an onboarding structure that's when you bring agents in, that they're going to be set up to be successful? And if you have that system in place to be able to grow in those areas, then grow away. But this is what happens if you don't. And I see this all the time with agents who become really successful, hard to control their time, and they just go out and hire people for lack of better words, without any foundation. And they come in and it's a cluster, right? Because there's not even a structure around it for that individual, let alone a structure around it for, another agent or a staff. And so what most people don't do well in growth is preparing up front for what growth looks like. It doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that you're going to be spending all this money to get into it, but prepare up front what it looks like.
Got it. A couple more questions. Summary. If you were to take the summary of this book, which you have, there's so many nuggets in this book. And by the way, guys, Adapt. He's got it on Amazon everywhere. Make sure you buy a copy. It's really great. Helps you. I would tell you this. It's not just for business. It's in life in general, of how to understand people better and how to interact with them better. It's phenomenal for that. But if you were to take a couple of the biggest nuggets from this book that would help anyone just in their interactions with people in general, whether it's on their team or whatever it might be, what would you say the couple of biggest nuggets would be?
It's funny because people get
which is hard to sum up in a book, but
yeah, well, people sometimes say, well, I get the books, I want to learn about others. Here's the truth. I want you to get the book because the very first person you need to learn about is you. And so most people don't think about that, and they don't think of it from that because they go, I just want to learn someone else. I want to be able to know somebody else. But the truth is, if you don't know you, if you don't know what drives you, if you don't know what you've got to do to, move forward, to interact with other people, then getting to know other people isn't going to help you. You got to be really clear on who you are. So first and foremost, the book is designed for you to kind of get a self-awareness of who you are as a person. Why do you react? How do you react? How do you change? We talk a lot of it in the book about being in control and being out of control. And so like who you are is who you are. But who you are being out of control is very different than who you are in control. And so, getting to recognize where the key factors are for you in order for you to grow. And man, we all know, like I said, it wasn't the first time that someone called me a butthead. When Crystal told me, it just mattered the most. And before that, I never really looked at it because I'd always go, it's just them. They're weak. No, I was being a butthole. Like that, let's be real. And so how do I not be a butthole? Or how do I not be so aggressive in my communication? Right? How do I put other people first? Because we tend not to do that, not because we're mean or we're selfish or anything, but if we don't understand us in relation to other people, it's hard for us to put other people first. Right? And so there's that factor. And then there's the factor of listen, once you know who you are, in order to master growing a team, then you need to learn how to communicate with other personality styles. Right? There's two people in most communications or most relationships. One person is always in charge of that relationship. And I'm not saying that you take control of it, but someone has to be the person that goes, hey, this is who I am. This is who you are. And in order for me to work with you, I have to be softer here, harder here. I've got to learn. Like, listen, I'm so not a detailed person, right? Like I spell things wrong. I send it out. Matter of fact, I was on with Tom Ferry's speech coach, and she said to me about my presentation, she's like, you seem to spell all things differently. And I'm like, yeah, because I don't even check it. Right. So it's hard for me to understand somebody who is very detailed and very organized and very and it takes them forever to get a project done because I send out a project before it's finished, thinking it's finished. Right. And so I look at them and I go, oh, they're lazy and they're slow. And oh my God, the truth is they're just detailed. And there's a piece of my life that I need that piece because I'm not like that. Right. And so the book helps you really get clear on where you need people to help replace the things that are important to move forward.
I love it. That's awesome, man. Man, I can tell you what, it's just, you're right though. It really brings more into understanding who you are and how you can best react, expectations of other people. It's really great. So if you guys haven't got it, make sure you grab it. Couple other things. We always do one, your drink of choice, by the way. I got it.
Oh, look
you
at
said
that.
Diet Coke.
Love it. I know it's not
and
good.
I always do. And I always do a taste test, and I'm not a Diet Coke guy. Okay, I haven't had a Diet Coke in probably 10 years. I'm in Texas, and we drink Dr. Pepper. Okay. So Diet Dr. Pepper's our drink, but I'm going to give you my review here. I haven't had one in 3 years. Here you go. You ready?
Okay. All right.
Right. The genre I would put this in is just soda in general. I'm going to give it a 2.1, Jarrod. I'm sorry.
It's all right. I know.
I know if you're a Diet Coke guy, but I know that some people are obsessed with Diet Cokes and they love them and they're great. But man,
listen, I don't have a lot of bad habits.
I'm Dr. Pepper, Texas.
I don't have a lot of bad habits. That is
what's bad about Diet Coke. What's bad about Diet Coke again? It's
I don't know.
What is it? The aspartame.
That's what I would think, right? Artificial sweeteners, aspartame or whatever is supposed to be bad for you. And, I don't know. It is what it is. I don't do many, I don't do many bad things. Diet Coke's the worst thing I do.
Last segment I always do on this is rapid fire. We're doing this. You're in Canada. I'm in Houston. So it's a little bit of delay. So it won't be as rapid as normal, but you got to answer these questions no longer than one sentence.
Oof.
And then we're going to go from there. And then before we end, I want you to tell me, I want to talk 1 second about your animal training thing. What is your go-to lazy dinner?
Oh, probably pizza. Because you're going to embarrass me here.
Is your bed made right now?
Yes.
Is your bed made right now?
Yes.
Okay. What is the last craft you have made?
So I'm working on a project in Florida, and it's the layout of the whole project. So it's a whatever you want to call it. It's all the homes and all the trees and all that. That's my last. It's right over there. I could even show it to you.
What is your favorite board game?
Scrabble.
Finish the phrase. The way to my heart is blank.
Food.
What is the one thing you wish you enjoyed more?
Lettuce.
What is your favorite store?
Probably Home Depot, which is terrible, but probably true.
I'm about that too. What time do you usually wake up in the morning?
6 o'clock.
I mean, what's your favorite movie genre?
Comedy.
Would you wear socks? Have you socks with sandals or no socks?
No socks.
Please God. Thank God. All right. And then do you prefer work or play?
Play.
All right, there you go. I love it. All right. And then one of the last questions I always ask every person is you have 24 hours, Jarrod. You can go anywhere you want to go. Time is no object. Money is no object. If you go, hey, I want to be there today, you'll be there today. Where would you go? What would you do? Who would you do it with?
My family, we'd go to Africa on a safari. Simple. I know the answer to that.
Love it.
That's one of our bucket list things. So
that's awesome. All right. Tell us a little bit about what you have going on in Florida and what you do, what animals you have there, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, so we have Tales of the Wild. It's been around since 2020. It's our nonprofit animal rescue. And the truth is we do exotic. So we have tigers, monkeys, wolves, alligators, reptiles, lots of birds, all kinds of stuff like that. It originally started because I was in the entertainment industry with animals. And, it was one of those things that we'd always at Siegfried and Roy get phone calls of, hey, can you rescue this animal? We weren't in the business of that. And so the truth is, it's my passion. And so we set that up years ago as a rescue. Over the years, it's really kind of changed because a lot of the regulations have changed over the years, and there's not as many like tigers in backyards. Matter of fact, very rarely do you ever see that anymore. And most exotics now are very regulated. So we really aren't. I mean, while we do still rescue, we go on rescues on a regular basis, mostly for birds or things like that. We don't see a lot of big rescues. And so we kind of do a lot of conservation, preservation, education right now. So we see a lot of school groups, church groups. We have contracts with like at home groups, school. Was it that at home school groups, and they come out. So we do a lot of conservation education right now. So that's kind of what we do. And, we have people there. I have lots of great help and leverage there, and they enjoy with the animals and the kids. And that's our focus right now. You can check us out. It's Tales of the Wild. You can check us out on Facebook, which is Tales of the Wild. Instagram, Tales of the Wild, TAILS, or our website is talesofthewild.com. No, that's a lie. Talesofthewild.org. Org, not com. Org.
There you go. Yeah, and he's got some crazy pictures of like him swimming with a tiger and elephants picking him up, and I mean it's just like wow. Yeah. It's awesome. I love that about you. All right. Last thing, if you were to give in a quick paragraph, if you give that business owner, that team leader out there, one last advice who's like struggling and like they've tried building into teams, growing teams, and they just haven't done it, what would you tell them? I mean, they're just like, they're burnt out, they're done. What's the bit of advice you would give them?
If I was giving someone a piece of advice about, not so much about building a team, but if I was giving someone a piece of advice about business, it's really getting clear on the top 3 things that are going to move the needle. Right. And so, when I was talking with someone today, and that's, they said to me, for leaders, like even team leaders is, what is the questions that we should be asking them? And I'm like, well, they should be really clear on what the top 3 things is that's going to move the needle. And then to make sure that they're taking time every single day to work on those things. Because here's the thing, we are busy people and we know what the top 3, 4 things are. We just don't do them. And so there's no master, here's the secret. The secret is take time to focus on the things that matter most and then jump into action. And if you do, you will move the needle, right? If I was giving a piece of advice for team leaders is to, if you're growing your team, get into the business with the right people sitting in the right seats, and don't keep around people that aren't the right people, right? Because we tend to go out and we hire all these people, whether they're agents or staff, and they don't do the job we want them to do. And, by nature, we don't want to fire anyone or put anyone out of work. By nature, by nature, people are good. And so we don't want to do that. But the reality of it is you're not serving them or serving you. And so, if you want to grow and you want to grow exponentially, then you better get in business with the right people.
Love it. Awesome. Thank you, Jarrod, for coming. If people wanted to find more information about you, where can they find you at on Instagram? What's your Instagram? Any other places you want them to find you at?
Sure. So it's at Jarrod Davis Coach on Instagram. You can go on Facebook. It's under Jarrod Davis. The good news is there's probably not a ton of Jarrod Davises out there. Yeah. And so just, find me in those two places. You can message me any of those places if you need to get in contact with me.
Awesome. Thanks again, Jarrod. By the way, Jarrod is 2 R's, Jarrod. So just remember that you're looking. We will see you next time on Closing Table. Y'all have a good one.